powerful slam, and then the floater and one. He had his first career triple-double with 21 points, 14 boards, 11 assists as the Spurs won 125-107. Emotions were high that night, and they'll be high again tonight.
My whole NBA career was here. Being removed from it, not even a full season, coming back here and playing my first game, you know, pretty sure it means a lot just to come back, see the fans, see the familiar faces. So looking forward to it.
You're facing San Antonio there. Is there any emotion on your side?
No, just want to play any other game. Another regular season game after All-Star break. Obviously want to come on and get a win.
And Doris Burke will be on the call for DeMar DeRozan's emotional return to Toronto at top of the hour here on ESPN. Doris, good to see you again. I know you've watched DeMar a lot this season as he adjusts to the Spurs system. His numbers are pretty good, just slightly lower than they were last season. How would you assess his transition?
Well, the Spurs would tell you as an organization he has been everything they anticipated. Think over the first month, he averaged 27 points per game. And the beauty of playing for a Spurs organization is they're going to put you in your sweet spots, right? DeMar DeRozan is the consummate mid-range shooter. So many injuries have played a part in their season. He's had to average a career-high 6 assists because he's been a primary playmaker. He's also rebounded it quite well. But tonight is going to be difficult. This is a very emotional man. He grew up here, so I'm anxious to see how he performs.
Yeah, me too. He was very upset when the trade went down. And again, the Raptors made the move to trade DeMar for Kawhi and Danny Green. It was obvious at the time they're pushing for their first finals berth right now. They want it now. So 2 spot in the East, game and a half behind Milwaukee. Doris, what will it take for them to finally make their first NBA Finals?
Sage, I believe they have all the pieces to come out of the East. They are long, they're athletic, they're deep, and you begin with Kawhi Leonard, right? A Finals MVP in his past, an elite defensive player. He is the guy you will play through late to get you the big buckets. Kyle Lowry has been the engine driving this franchise for as long as I can remember. He could be more aggressive. You have Pascal Siakam, who has taken a monster step forward, maybe the most improved player, can put it on the deck and play 3, 4, and 5 positions. He is tremendous, and I think the addition of Marc Gasol as a high post passer and giving this team a little bit more playmaking. This team is deep, Sage. They've got the pieces. The East is going to be a wonderfully competitive playoff race.
Yes, finally. And it does feel a little bit different this time in Toronto. Doris Burke, we look forward to your call 7 Eastern here on ESPN. Thank you so much. So that's where our doubleheader kicks off tonight, north of the border in Toronto. And then Game 2, Russell Westbrook looks to extend his record triple-double streak to 12 as the Thunder take on the Jazz. Both games, as always, on ESPN and the ESPN app.
SportsCenter right now, and the man Mel Kiper, draft expert, sees as the 6th overall pick and first quarterback in the NFL draft will throw at the Combine. This per ESPN's Josina Anderson. Dwayne Haskins of Ohio State, he was 3rd in the Heisman voting. Very quietly, another key baseball free agent is off the board. Super utility man Marwin Gonzalez from the Astros, who was thought to be a darling of metrics-driven front offices, finally gets a job with the Twins. 2 years, and per our Jeff Passan, $21 million in total. Maybe Antonio Brown really will wind up with the 49ers. Seems certain he's headed to the NFC. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler says that Pittsburgh prefers to send Brown to an NFC team, while the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette first reported that Brown would not be traded to the Patriots or any AFC North rival. And again, the developing story on this edition of SportsCenter and many in the days ahead. Robert Kraft, the 77-year-old multi-billionaire owner of the Super Bowl champion Patriots, will soon be formally charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of solicitation of prostitution. This startling and unsettling news, part of a 6-month sting of Florida mall spas. Police say they have video of Kraft committing the crime. Other individuals have been charged with human trafficking, and the women involved were said by police to have been lured to the U.S. under false pretenses and then forced into virtual sexual slavery.
That would be Mr. Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots?
Yes, sir.
And what is he being charged with?
He's being charged with the same offenses as the others, and that is soliciting another to commit prostitution.
And how many accounts may he face?
Right now we have 2.
So that would be 2 separate incidences or visits to the Orchids of Asia Day Spa, or 1 visit with multiple charges from that 1 visit?
2 different visits. We're as equally stunned as everybody else, or, of notoriety that would be arrested.
I can't speak to the exact dollar number that individual paid. However, there is a specific number for a time frame when you were there that you pay. The video that we obtained, it shows the act that took place. On every gentleman that you have a list of, the act that took place is recorded on that video. The times that Mr. Kraft was there, he was driven. And that name and information is, like I stated, it will be contained in the probable cause affidavit. The question was, does the video contain Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged acts? The answer to that is yes.
And again, a complete, unequivocal, no room for misunderstanding denial statement from a Robert Kraft spokesman. We categorically deny that Mr. Kraft engaged in any illegal activity. Because it is a judicial matter, we will not be commenting further. Let's turn to Cameron Wolfe, ESPN NFL reporter who is on the ground for us in Florida. Cameron, are we getting hints about Kraft and the legal process in the next few days? What's the latest you're hearing from there?
Yeah, I just spoke to a Jupiter PD officer in this building about an hour ago. An arrest warrant for Patriots owner Robert Kraft will officially be filed on Monday. He can turn himself in beforehand. He's not in Florida. He hasn't been arrested yet, and that's the next step. When does he turn himself in? As far as the rest of the investigation, they've turned up 26 different incidents by 25 individuals. Kraft was charged with 2 counts of solicitation of prostitution at Orchids of Asia Spa here in Jupiter. I can tell you, I went to the spa earlier today and there was a chaotic scene. Patrons were around taking photos, taking selfies of themselves. I spoke to an employee of a nearby business who said that, hey, look, we didn't expect this. We didn't see this coming. We knew these people well, and none of this tipped us off. Where we are at this point is that we're trying to figure out exactly where police are moving from here. Police have to decide what's next for Kraft.
Cameron, do we have an idea what discipline could be faced by one of the league's most prominent owner? What's on the table right now?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. There's no true precedent for this particular situation. Obviously, the NFL policy is conduct for owners and executives. That's something that applies to them. And in fact, they are held to a higher standard than players in this particular situation. The most recent incident that we can look back at is Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, who was charged with DUI, and he ended up being suspended for 6 games, and he was fined $500,000. There's no limitation. There's no limitation to where exactly the NFL can do. They put out a statement today saying that they are investigating, or they're monitoring the investigation, and they will have further details once that's complete. One key note to understand is that, hey, even if Robert Kraft does not get convicted and he's categorically denying these charges, the NFL can still take action. We've seen over the last decade, the NFL and the Patriots have had their, squabbles per se and legal precedent. So it will be intriguing to see how this plays out. And there's no timetable on when the NFL can make a ruling or a decision on discipline for Kraft.
ESPN's Cameron Wolfe on the scene in Florida. Great, thanks.
Coming up, Houston Rockets not happy that they lost to the Lakers last night, but livid at the officiating. Tim Legler joins us to break down whether or not Chris Paul, James Harden, they have a case. Also, baseball's initial plan for a pitch clock set to